There once was a king named Ahasuerus who threw a wild party that lasted for, get this, 180 days. Ahasuerus called for his wife, Vashti, to appear in her royal crown because he was so proud of how beautiful she looked. Guess what? She refused. Not because she minded the attention, but because she wasn't looking great that day. Now, what's a king without a queen? And our king needed a new one, so he dispatched guards to find him a fitting wife. Eventually, they found a Jewish girl named Esther who had been adopted by her wise and learned cousin Mordecai. Mordecai advised her to keep her Jewish identity a secret. Of all the maidens, the king chose Esther to be his queen. Worried about his cousin, Mordecai hung around the palace to make sure she was okay. That, coupled with the fact that he knew tons of languages, allowed him to overhear two bad guys, Bigtan and Teresh, plotting to kill the king. He had Esther tell her husband, and the day was saved. But all was not well. The king had an advisor named Haman, who was evil. Like, really evil. He wanted everyone to bow down to him, which pretty much worked, except for Mordecai the Jew, who insisted that he bowed to no one other than God himself. Haman was mad and convinced the king to hold a giant Kill All the Jews Day, which he determined by picking a lot, which is called a Purim in Persian. Mordecai found out and told Esther, who agreed to talk to the king about the issue, as long as everyone would fast and pray for her, which they did. Esther approached the king and invited him and Haman to a private party. At the party, she invited them to yet another party. Haman felt pretty good, until he bumped into Mordecai. Haman's wife, who was an even bigger creep than he was, told him to build a giant gallows upon which to hang Mordecai. Meanwhile, the king could not sleep, and he asked that his royal records be read to him. What do you know? The reader read about how Mordecai saved the king and had never been rewarded. And what do you know? Who walks in? Haman, eager to tell the king about his plot to hang Mordecai. Bam! The king told Haman to honor Mordecai by parading him around town wearing the king's robes, sitting on the king's horse. It gets better. That night, Haman arrived for the party, and Esther spilled the beans. She was Jewish, and Haman was trying to kill her people. That did not end well for Haman. And the day when Haman's lotto picked to kill all the Jews ended up being the day the Jews neutralized their enemies. And the day after is celebrated as Purim. Lots. Yeah! Okay, so that was the Purim story, with lots of villains and heroes. But there is one major hero whom we did not mention. Who is that? God. You know why? Because he's not mentioned in the text, not even once. How can that be? How can a book of the Bible not mention God? That's because the Purim story happened to puppets. No, really, even when this happened for real in ancient Persia, everyone was just a puppet in the hands of the master puppeteer, God. Even though he was invisible, he was there behind the scenes. After the people prayed and reinforced their unshakable bond with God, he made everything line up just so that the good guys won and the bad guys didn't. That's how it is with life. Behind everything that happens, the puppeteer, God, is pulling the strings for you. We celebrate this divinely orchestrated victory every year on Purim with 4 special mitzvahs. We listen to the Scroll of Esther, aka the Megillah, where this epic tale is told both evening and morning. We give gifts of food called Mishloach Manot, sending at least 2 food items to at least 1 friend. We give charity to at least 2 poor people, and we enjoy a festive meal during Purim Day. Since this story has a super happy ending, we make sure to be super happy, dressing in silly costumes, making jokes, and having a grand time. It's a time that we can lose ourselves, go beyond the confines of nature, and connect to God in a topsy-turvy way, beyond all expectations. Happy Purim!